The azure waters of the Aegean shimmer under the Mediterranean sun, concealing secrets that have tantalized humanity for millennia. Beneath these deceptively tranquil waves lies a story so extraordinary that it has spawned countless legends, expeditions, and fevered imaginings. Yet the truth, as we shall discover, proves far more astonishing than any myth. The genesis of an obsession in approximately 360 BCE, the Greek philosopher Plato penned two dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, that would captivate human imagination for over 2,000 years. Within these texts, he described Atlantis, a mighty island civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time, possessed technology surpassing even the Greeks, and commanded an empire that threatened the ancient Mediterranean world. According to Plato, this paradise of concentric canals, golden temples, and philosopher kings met a cataclysmic end, vanishing beneath the waves in a single day and night of misfortune. For centuries, scholars debated whether Plato intended Atlantis as philosophical allegory or historical record. Most dismissed it as fiction, a cautionary tale about hubris and the fragility of civilization. Yet, something about the account's specificity, its detailed geography, its architectural descriptions, its very plausibility, refused to release its grip on our collective consciousness. What if, hidden within Plato's account, lay fragments of genuine historical memory? What if multiple catastrophic events, real technological marvels, and actual lost civilizations had merged in oral tradition to create this singular, haunting legend? The day the sky turned black, our journey begins not with Atlantis itself, but with an event so devastating that it fundamentally altered the ancient world. Around 1600 BCE, the volcanic island of Thera, known today as Santorini, erupted with unimaginable fury. This wasn't merely a volcanic eruption. It was one of the largest explosive events in recorded human history, comparable to the famous Krakatoa eruption of 1883, but possibly even more violent. The eruption's force was almost inconceivable. It ejected approximately 60 cubic kilometers of material into the atmosphere, creating a column of ash that reached 50 kilometers into the sky. For the thriving civilizations of the Bronze Age Aegean, this was nothing less than an apocalypse. And at the epicenter of this catastrophe stood the most sophisticated culture of its age. The enigma of Knossos before the eruption, the island of Crete, had nurtured a civilization so advanced that its rediscovery in the early 20th century stunned archaeologists. The Minoans, named after the legendary King Minos, had developed a society that wouldn't be matched in Europe for over 1,000 years. The palace complex at Knossos defies everything we assume about Bronze Age capabilities. This wasn't a crude fortification, but a sprawling architectural marvel covering over 20,000 square meters. Its builders had mastered multi-story construction, creating structures up to 5 stories tall with sophisticated load-bearing techniques. The palace featured elaborate frescoes depicting religious ceremonies, athletic contests, and marine life with such artistry that they seemed startlingly modern to contemporary eyes. But the true genius of Minoan civilization lay hidden beneath the floors. The Minoans had developed advanced plumbing systems, including terracotta pipes for water distribution, stone channels for drainage, and even what appears to be the world's first flushing toilet. They understood hydraulic engineering principles that would be forgotten and rediscovered centuries later. Their sophisticated water management systems included settling tanks, pressure reduction measures, and even architectural features designed to flush rainwater through the palace complex, cleaning the drainage system naturally. The Minoans dominated Mediterranean trade networks, their distinctive pottery and goods found from Egypt to the Italian peninsula. Their ships, depicted in stunning detail in surviving frescoes, were technological marvels capable of crossing hundreds of miles of open water. They exported pottery, metalwork, textiles dyed with the precious Tyrian purple, and perhaps most significantly, ideas. The Minoan trading network was an information superhighway for the Bronze Age world. Their writing system, Linear A, remains undeciphered, one of archaeology's most tantalizing mysteries. What knowledge do those clay tablets contain? Religious texts? Scientific observations? Administrative records of an empire? We may never know. Then came the catastrophe. Whether through direct devastation from the Thera eruption, subsequent tsunamis, or the collapse of trade networks and agriculture, Minoan civilization never fully recovered. Within a generation or two, the palaces were abandoned or occupied by Mycenaean Greeks from the mainland. A culture that had flourished for over 1,000 years effectively vanished. The geological conspiracy beyond catastrophic volcanic eruptions. The very earth beneath the Mediterranean has been conspiring to create lost civilizations. The region sits at the convergence of the African, Eurasian, and Anatolian tectonic plates, one of the most geologically active zones on Earth. This creates not just dramatic events like earthquakes and eruptions, but gradual changes that can submerge entire landscapes. Subsidence, the slow sinking of land, has drowned countless ancient settlements. The ancient port city of Herakleion, near Alexandria, rested peacefully beneath the Mediterranean for over 1,000 years before its rediscovery in 2000. This wasn't some minor outpost, but a major trading hub, complete with enormous statues, temples, and harbor facilities. It vanished not through volcanic catastrophe, but through gradual geological subsidence and liquefaction of the sediments beneath it. Off the coast of modern Turkey, underwater archaeologists have discovered submerged settlements from various periods, including structures that were built on dry land during Ice Age sea levels, when the Mediterranean coastline looked drastically different. These lost cities aren't mythical. They're geological inevitabilities in a region as tectonically active as the Mediterranean. Even more intriguing are the Sea Peoples, a confederation of maritime raiders who appeared around 1200 BCE and contributed to the collapse of multiple Bronze Age civilizations. Ancient Egyptian records describe them as coming from the islands and bringing destruction. Were these refugees from lands lost to geological catastrophe? Survivors of subsided territories seeking new homes? The historical record falls frustratingly silent. The truth that shatters everything. Now we arrive at the conclusion that transforms our entire understanding. Atlantis, as described by Plato, never existed, at least not as a single, discrete civilization. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Atlantis didn't need to exist, because reality provided something far more extraordinary. Plato's account wasn't fabrication or pure philosophy. It was a palimpsest, a manuscript where multiple stories have been written, erased, and written again, each leaving traces of the last. The memory of Atlantis is actually the compressed, merged, and transformed recollection of multiple catastrophic events and lost civilizations that ancient peoples witnessed, survived, and passed down through generations of oral tradition. The Minoan civilization provided the template for Atlantis' technological sophistication. Their plumbing, their architecture, their maritime dominance. The Thera eruption supplied the catastrophic destruction, a civilization-ending event witnessed by thousands and traumatizing enough to echo through centuries. The geological subsidence of various Mediterranean settlements contributed the sinking into the sea element. The Sea Peoples' invasions added the military conquest narrative. Egyptian historical records, which Plato claimed as his source, would have contained fragmented accounts of all these events. But here's what makes this truly staggering. Our ancestors, lacking our geological and historical frameworks, did something brilliantly human. They intuited that these separate disasters were connected, that they represented a pattern, the fragility of advanced civilization itself. They unconsciously synthesized multiple historical traumas into a single, coherent warning narrative. Atlantis isn't history, and it isn't fantasy. It's something far more sophisticated. It's compressed historical truth, transformed through the alchemy of oral tradition into universal myth. The Atlantis legend represents humanity's first attempt at comparative historical analysis, conducted entirely through storytelling. Ancient peoples were telling us that advanced civilizations can vanish, that technological sophistication provides no immunity to geological or military catastrophe, and that hubris, whether divine punishment or simply poor planning, leads to destruction. They encoded real events, real places, and real disasters into a myth that would survive when direct historical memory could not. The deeper revelation. This realization leads us to an even more profound conclusion about human culture and memory. Every myth, legend, and ancient tale we've dismissed as superstition may contain similar kernels of historical truth, encoded in narrative form by peoples who lacked our writing systems, our scientific methods, or our academic infrastructure, but who possess something we're in danger of losing: the ability to preserve truth through story. The Greek flood myths, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the universal deluge narratives found in cultures worldwide. What if these two are compressed memories of real post-Ice Age flooding events, when rising seas drowned vast coastal plains where early humans had settled? What if the Tower of Babel encodes memories of Mesopotamian ziggurat building projects and the multilingual nature of ancient empires? What if dragon legends worldwide preserve folk memories of megafauna extinctions or chance discoveries of dinosaur fossils by ancient peoples who lacked the framework to identify them but possessed the imagination to explain them? The miracle isn't that Atlantis existed. The miracle is that our ancestors developed such a sophisticated method of preserving, transmitting, and encoding genuine historical catastrophes that their warnings remain vivid and compelling, 2,500 years after Plato wrote them down. They created a story so powerful, so archetypal, that it transcends its historical origins to speak to universal human fears and aspirations. When we search for Atlantis, we're not looking for a lost city. We're searching for our own cultural memory, our species' instinctive understanding that everything we build can vanish, that geological time operates on scales that make our civilizations seem like mayflies, and that the greatest technological achievements provide no security against the planet's indifferent forces. The ruins of Akrotiri on Santorini, preserved under volcanic ash like a Bronze Age Pompeii, offer us a window into this lost world. The sophisticated frescoes, the multi-story buildings, the evidence of literacy and trade. This is as close to Atlantis as we'll ever come, and it's more wondrous than any fiction. These weren't mythical beings. They were humans like us, building beautiful cities and complex societies on the slopes of a volcano they didn't understand, in a geologically unstable region they couldn't predict. And ultimately, isn't that precisely what we're doing today? Building our civilization atop fault lines, coastlines vulnerable to rising seas, and extracting resources with consequences we're only beginning to comprehend. The legend of Atlantis isn't a historical curiosity. It's a warning our ancestors encoded for us. A message in a bottle thrown forward through time. We are Atlantis. And we always have been.